What's up, Insta spammers? Bear with me for a minute. It's been a minute since I've done one of these Friday morning BS sessions here. I just put some tubes in a SVT, little bass amp. Cool off a little bit. And as the text messages keep rolling in. Anyway, letting it cool off. Got to put some capacitors in it. It's got some of the old dynamite sticks still in there. Those got to go. Not reliable, noisy. Needs its pots clean. It's got a case of the scratchies. But other than that, doesn't seem to be in bad shape. So, but anyway, what's going on with you guys? Playing the, this is the Duece. Currently had it, wow, why does this thing keep doing that? Retarded focus in, focus out crap. Anyway, I've got it in American voicing. This amp's really cool. I built it with 3 different voicings. American, kind of a low gain voicing, and then a British style voicing. And you know, when people say American, British, whatever, basically what they mean is American's a full spectrum frequency boost, and then your British focuses on your high, your mids, your high mids, and your highs. So, and on the back side of the amp, I put a raw, basically a raw switch, turns your negative feedback off and on. So some people like that. I'm more of a fan of negative feedback because it helps give you a more clear defined break between your overdrive and your clean, you know, where that cutoff is and what you know, where that transition line is. And this amp was designed to stay clean through the majority of its sweep. It does go into overdrive towards the very top end of its power range, and it's more of a fuzzy type overdrive. Really wasn't intending this amp to do a lot of rock and roll. Was more intending this amp to do cleans, to do, you know, maybe some jazz, some blues, some things along those lines. It will rock. Got an attenuator in here so that it doesn't blow the phone out. I don't know if that translates across the phone or not, but it's a real thick overdrive. The low mids are real prevalent in the upper portion of the bass. So it gives you a really thick, almost fuzzy type overdrive. But anyway, this amp does cleans really well. We'll transition back up. We'll go up to this is the British setting. I'll play the same thing I was playing earlier. playing today. But anyway, basically, you know, I didn't really want to come on here and talk about the Duece too much. As you can see, I'm still messing around with it. I'm actually trying some different tubes just to see what they sound like. Currently, I've got a JJ. Oh, man, the phone sucks. A JJ EL. Boom, there it is. An EL34. Now I know what the weatherman feels like on the green screen. Hey, it's going to snow today, and come here, you. Anyway, it's just a regular JJ EL34. It's not the EL34B, EL34-2, whatever it is they're doing. It's just a standard EL34. It has a lot more bottom end, actually, than the 5881. The 5881 is more along the lines of a twangy style tone. The EL34 surprisingly has more bottom end. You know, most people think EL34s, you know, they think Van Halen, mids, highs, all of that. But it's really actually kind of a nice tube, and I'm actually considering leaving the EL34 in it. That's the beauty of this particular design, is it has enough power transformer capacity. You know, it can handle an EL34. It can handle a KT88 if you wanted to put it in there. I don't think it would sound very good, but you could do it. And you'd have to rebias it, of course. But this is a cathode biased amp, so whatever tube I do settle in, that's what his bias is set up for, is that particular tube. Now, a lot of people think, you know, hey, it's cathode bias, I can shove any EL34 in it that I want as long as it's an EL34. For the most part, that holds true. With my particular amps, it does not hold true. I like to bias mine right up to the living on the wild side. When I bias a cathode bias amp, it's generally biased between 95 and 100% plate dissipation. So even within the JJ family, you can get a power tube that may bias at 95, and I may get another JJ that says it's from the same batch, the same sample, it's a matched tube, and that tube may bias at 102%. Now, will 102% kill you? No. Not with cathode bias, because the more you turn it up, it actually brings your bias voltage down a little bit. It has a downward swing to it, so the harder you drive it, it actually runs a little cooler. However, it's still good to check those things, and it's very easy to check those things. It's not hard, guys. I might even do a video on here one day, how to bias your amp. It's something that, at least check the bias. At least check it. You know, everybody doesn't need to be going into an amplifier, because I guarantee you somebody's going to do the electrical test on it and end up frying their hair or killing themselves. So you can check your bias, though. It's as simple as popping a tube off. You put in an adapter, then you put your tube back into the adapter, and then you read what your dial is telling you as far as milliamps goes. You can get a handy dandy little app on your phone, and it tells you, you know, whatever. There's some other factors that you do need to know, but you can look at the milliamps. You can look at your tube type, and it'll tell you, you know, if you have a cathode biased amp, you know, it should be running in this milliamp range, 100%. So it would be that or lower. Or if you have a fixed bias amp, you know, it should be 70% or lower. A lot of your high gain amps these days are running tubes ridiculously cold. I mean, we're talking, I've seen some below 20 milliamps. Now, it's not a safety thing. It actually does work for a high gain amp, because when you start, you know, putting on 45 stages of gain, figuratively, not literally. Most of them have like 6 or 7, I think. I think a Valve King I just did, or whatever it was, 6505, I don't remember. I think it had like 6 preamp tubes in it. But the reason for the cold bias is to keep your amp snappy and percussive as you get your gain higher and higher. When you introduce more gain, and then you turn your tube bias up, you get it up into that 70% range, you may get away with it at whatever volume you're playing with. But if you crank that amp up, your amp's going to be a spongy turd. That's why they keep the bias cold on high gain amps. You know, Slow does it, PV does it, they all do it, and that's why. It's so that your amp doesn't turn into this, you know, Frosty the Snowman on a summer day. You know, and it's sitting there just turning a pile of mush in front of you, or behind you, or whatever. So. Trying through some different pedals because I feel like it. Yeah, I know, I'm playing sloppy today, and nope, don't care. It's been a long week as far as repairs go. I haven't really done a massive amount of playing this week. Haven't had time to do a whole lot of testing on these different tubes with this Duece Amp. And I've got another build that I've started. It is for a female artist in Nashville. If you guys haven't noticed, we're kind of starting a trend here. I do have another amp that's going to start for a male artist in Nashville, but he is unlike anything that you guys have ever seen, unless you happen to know who he is. And I'm not going to tell you right now, so just keep your pants on. Just don't be expecting Les Pauls and Telecasters and Fenders and Gibsons. He does play Gibson from time to time, but it's not like you or I play it. Now, as far as the other female artist, she's amazing. She plays it's more along the lines of, you know, some funk, some blues, stuff like that. And then, of course, you guys know about Tracy. Make sure you guys go give Tracy a follow. She's an awesome guitarist, and actually she's going to be doing some videos pretty soon of the 30-watt Veneno that she has. She's used it live. She loves it. So we've gotten some very good feedback from that. So now we have to put the 30-watt Veneno into a small production run. Essentially, that's what we were waiting on, was to get her feedback, to get the feedback from, you know, live situations and how she's used it, how it sits in the mix. And essentially her feedback after her first live use of the amp was that It blends better in the mix than the Fender or the Mesa Boogie that she has previously used. She said the Fender can get dark. She plays an HSS Strat. And she said the Mesa can get bright. However, she says our Veneno fits perfectly. It blends beautifully. The only complaint that she did have, it does translate a little bit more of that single coil tone, the hum through. The reason for that is the way that particular amp is set up is your volume controls are low pass filters. So, if you are playing, you're on stage, and you stop playing, you're going to hear some hum. It's set up in old school style to get old school tones. Sometimes things are a little bit of a trade-off. You can go in with a full stack, tone stack, a treble middle bass, but that treble middle bass tends to reduce. It reduces your gain for one, and it also it takes a lot of your guitar's natural signal out. So it's a trade-off. It all depends on what you want. A lot of guys have to have a treble middle bass. They just have to tinker with it, and then some people just prefer straightforward setup. Think of these sessions as, sitting around the porch BSing with each other. Because if you're expecting me to play anything super crazy, you're wrong, because I'm not that good. But I know amps, and I know tone. Even though my name says I have no tone, I know tone. But anyway, like I said, currently working on SVT. Got that bass amp going on. I've got to put some preamp filter caps in it. They're done. They're leaking. They're noisy. Got to clean some pots in it. Actually, I got to go to the old dreaded Guitar Center. I started cleaning pots on it and I ran out of deoxit, so I got to go up there. Make that little journey in a few minutes and then come back and get started on it again. But as far as the new year, I've had some questions. I know I put a statement out there. I'm going to be starting teaching soon, and actually I'm going to start out doing some substitute work. That way I get some experience in classroom, kind of know what's going on. I've had a lot of people asking, what am I going to have as far as amps in 2019? We're going to be doing the Duece. This is the Duece that I'm currently playing. We'll be doing the 12 watt Veneno. We're now going to be doing the 30 watt Veneno since Tracy has signed off on the tone. It works. I knew it worked, but it works in a band setting. It's one thing to play it in the studio. It's one thing to think, oh man, that thing sounds great at low volumes. What does it sound like when it's really cranked up? The band's going, the drummer's going. Is it lost? Is it here? Is it too bright, too what, too whatever? So anyway, it passed the R&D. Again, we will be doing the Duece, which is this guy. It is a 15 watt amplifier. Right now, it's running on an EL34, and I'm kind of digging the EL34. I had the 5881, and it's a good tube too. And I'll even give you an option. You can do 5881, you can do EL34. The 5881 is going to be more for your country guys. It's more twangy. The EL34 seems to have a broader spectrum, which I don't really expect from an EL34, but with this circuit, it's working. Most of the time with an EL34, you think just, balls to the wall rock, just this screaming, searing lead tone. But this thing actually sounds really good. It sounds good with a Telecaster. This is the neck position on a Tele. Which, this Telecaster actually has an unfair advantage. These are custom-made pickups. This particular neck pickup, it is split magnet poles. So your upper 3 strings are A4, your bottoms are A2. It has a very nice smooth tone to it. The bridge pickup on this one is also custom. It is a tapped broadcaster. So it has taps at 9K and then, you know, it finishes out at 11K. And I have it on a little switch right here. But for an EL34, I really didn't expect it. I didn't expect the tone it's getting. And this Telecaster is on a blend. So that's actually got the neck and the bridge blended in. We'll go ahead and turn the neck completely off. I've got it on a no-load pot, so when you crank it all the way up, all you're getting is bridge. That's on the, and actually I got some reverb going. You can turn that off. Alright, so this is the 11K, so it's a hot, real hot broadcaster. This is the 9K, a little bit more twangy, a little thinner. But a guy up in Georgia winds them for me. It's Sunday Hand Wound. Check him out on the old Instagram. Guy does amazing work, does great work. His wife's a school teacher, so, you know, instead of pumping your money to big corporations, help out the little man. Little guys like us, we can use all the help we can get, especially when it comes to the bigger competition. However, that being said, pretty much just came on to kill a little bit of time while the tubes and the SVT cool off. Thanks, man. Yeah, this one does sound good, and actually I've got him making a set of pickups for the Jaguar. The Fender kind of missed the mark. So I can show y'all what that sounds like though real quick. Put the old telly down. Alright, so Fender's Player Series Jaguar. You know, there's things I like about it, and there's things that just suck. But hey, that's every guitar, isn't it? So, first thing, you know, first got it, actually wasn't set up that bad. It has all the standards, you know, stereotypical Jaguar issues with a tremolo, you know, your bridge rattles, all that good happiness. But if you're playing a Jaguar Jazzmaster, well, you know, unless you're going to go buy a plane ticket to England, pick up a Statrim bridge, guess what? You're going to live with it. Statrim doesn't sell to the United States. Actually, they don't sell outside of the UK at all. So, unless you know someone over there, you're not getting one. Now, that's Fender's bridge. It's supposed to be an Alnico 3 bridge, humbucker. Now, you can split it. It does an almost telly kind of sound when it's split. The issue I have is when it's in full humbucker mode. It has no definition, nothing. Everything just kind of blends together. You know, playing the telly with a set of good pickups in it, you can hear every note. Even for a crappy player like me, you can still hear everything. And that's, you know, that's the main reason I have different guitars. When I build amps, you have to be able to test the different tones and sounds. You know, if you're testing every amp with one guitar, you can tweak that amp to sound amazing with that guitar, and it's going to be a giant turd when someone plugs a different guitar in. You know, so I've got humbuckers, I got P90s, I got single coil Strats, I've got, you know, Telecasters, whatever. And then I've got access to pretty much any kind of guitar that you could imagine plugging into. But as far as this Jaguar goes, you know, the neck feels great. It's kind of a C profile. It's very similar to this old Telecaster neck, honestly. I think once I finally get it all set up and get some good pickups in it, I'm going to enjoy playing it because I like the shorter scale. I like playing Les Pauls. I like playing SGs, and you know, having the frets closer together on, what is it, 24.5 scale, I guess. I don't know. 24 3/4. I don't know. Whatever. The shorter Gibson style scale. It's just easier to play, and even though I have giant monkey hands, which tells me, you know, I should be playing a 25.5 scale, I like the short scale guitars. But the neck pickup on this actually isn't bad. They're using an A2 in the neck. It's a little boomy, but it's not bad. For a factory pickup, the neck isn't bad. My favorite position as the guitar sits from the factory, no changes, is the middle position. Now, the cool thing, I don't think I really demonstrated this, the cool thing with the Duece is that was in the British mode. So we'll go down to the American mode. Big tone change. So American. Wow, it's already out of tune. British. I'm not going to retune it because I'm not going to play it much longer. But in the middle position on this voicing on the Duece, you drop a lot of the gain out of it so you can actually clean it up. So you heard it had a little bit of bite to it. It's a nice feature to have. You know, if someone wants to set the amp up to where, you know, it's overdriving a little bit. But then maybe they don't want that anymore. And then up to the British. Bridge, humbucker. Middle. American. And that's with the amp running, I mean, I don't know if you can see if I move the guitar. Master's about 2 o'clock, tones about 1 o'clock, gains between 12 and 1. So, turn the master on up a little bit. cleans up nice too. This guitar does get dark though the second you roll it off. Give it a little bit more tone. Back to where we had it. Knock it off, boy. I'm going from American to British. Now, we can throw a pedal in front of that too. We'll use the CSM. It's my lowest gain overdrive. Anyway, I'm old. I'm like an old tube amp. You gotta let me warm up. Can't play worth a crap when I haven't been playing for about 20-30 minutes. I don't know if I can play this one or not, so bear with me here. Not today. See, that's the thing. I never learned to read music. Everything I play is listening and then figuring it out. You know, I learned a few scales. Everything else is pretty much kind of self mistaught. And then, yeah, winging it. But, and actually I started off wrong. I should have started playing left-handed because I am left-handed. But instead of playing left-handed, because there's so many more right-handed guitars, I decided, well, let me learn to play right-handed. And I've been doing it for so long. You know, I think I've passed that point of changing. But anyway, that's the tone of the Duece. We'll put a little bit more drive. We'll go over to the Grenadier. From the Grenadier, we'll head over to the crazy rig. We'll turn the reverb back on. We'll see if we can Van Halen for a second here. Well, yeah, you can have yours. Grab it with both hands. Both hands. There you go. You can play.
It's right 9.
You can play.
I checked it on it.
You're checking on the clock?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go 9.
It's almost time to go?
Yeah.
Okay. And that was in the British setting too. So that's the Duece. And yes, I've just been told by the boss it's time to go. So, and that's a little rundown on the old the Fender Player Jaguar. I do like it. I would recommend it, but I also would recommend, you know, the day you buy this thing, go on Instagram, contact Sunday Hand Wound, and get another set of pickups coming for it. Because now here's a caveat for you. Here's what's weird. These pickups didn't sound that bad when I used them with a crappy amp, and I think it's because they put a lot of emphasis on the lows and low mids to try to make them sound full. But when you take an amp that's working properly and it's amplifying the full spectrum, and you have your lows and you have your low mids, that guitar turns to mud, and that's its problem. It doesn't have definition and it turns muddy. So we'll get a better set of pickups, a little bit more output to them, clearer, and we'll give it a retry. But anyway, I don't know when I'll be back on here to do another one of these just chill, attempt to play guitar, talk about crap sessions, because
what's the thing from the guitar?
Got a lot going on right now. Finishing up my last semester for my bachelor's degree. I've got a capstone program going on right now. Pretty intensive. I've got simulation for business. That's pretty intensive. And then I'm doing a bunch of repairs, stuff like that. And then I already have the 1 amp going for the other artist in Nashville. So, yeah, I'll get on here when I can, give you guys some more little tips and tricks, whatever. But until then, y'all have a good weekend. Stay safe. Enjoy. And if you're up north, don't freeze. Don't try to be frosty. Yeah, don't do it. Catch y'all later.